Hi, so I'm back today with the MacBook Air, and today I'm going to talk about the storage options on the base model. As some of you, if you've seen my previous videos, would know, I went for the MacBook Air with the 8 GB, and there's a complete separate video about whether 8 GB was enough or not, and you can watch that video if you want to make up your mind about the memory requirements. Today I just want to talk about storage. Now, storage is very specific to individual, right? So if you store a lot of photos, you'll need more. If you have a certain type of video, if you record a lot of videos or you do video editing, then you will have different kind of files. So I really can't give specific advice. But what I thought I'll do is I'll just go over to my own storage, which I have accumulated over about 10 months period, and just give you a sense of what applications are taking how much storage. Maybe it'll help you make up your mind on how much storage you need. So the base model of the MacBook Air comes with 256 GB, and I actually went for the 512 GB model because I thought I'm going to need a little bit more. And after 10 months of usage, I already have about half of it is utilized. So I'm happy I didn't go for the base model because that would have filled up by now, and I would have been sort of in a constant loop of cleaning it up. Now I still have a lot of headway to go, but the interesting thing is where are all these storage, where is all the storage actually going? So this, by the way, is a nice little display. If you go to storage tab over here, it gives you a little overview. So the apps are taking this much, documents and so on. But if you go to click on the manage tab from here, that opens up a nice management console, if you will, and it gives you a rundown of what everything is using. So it is the same headings as this. So you have the apps, the bin, the books, and so on and so forth. So let's take a look at what I have accumulated, at least in my case, over about a 10-month period. So right off the bat, applications are taking a lot of storage, 45 GB right here. And this is the list of applications, and they're sorted by size, as you can see. And the biggest one, of course, is Xcode itself. It's an absolute monster. I don't know what they built into it, but it's 16 GB at this point, and it seems to keep growing with each iteration. Unity, which I don't actually use, is also pretty big. It's about 7 GB. I sort of dabble once in a while. I don't really use it. Imovie, Affinity Designer, Android Studio. Android Studio, by the way, doesn't take up much of a footprint. Although we saw in the other video that when you start using it, its memory requirements are higher than Xcode. So Xcode seems to take more storage, but Android Studio seems to be more hungry for memory. So that's the way these applications are written. And then you have Microsoft Word, Excel, etc. These are all worth about 1 GB each and so on. Again, the applications from Apple, like Keynote, etc., are smaller. They are like half a GB. And down, you have a lot of these small applications here and there. By the way, you'll notice a lot of these runner applications. You can ignore them. These are basically applications that are coming from my coding project. So Flutter, for example, if you use that, creates these runner applications, which are sort of wrappers around the actual code to run it. And we can just ignore. They're very small files, and I can easily delete them if I want to. So they don't really count. Also in this view, interestingly, it tells you the kind of the application. So all those which are marked universal are actually native to the M1 Mac, right? So Xcode is, Unity, as you can see, is not. It's still Intel. All of these are native. Some of them are marked iOS because these are iOS projects. GIMP or GIMP, however you pronounce it, is Intel. I, again, don't use it that much. I prefer Pixelmator Pro, which is a very good application, by the way, and it is universal. And so on and so forth. OBS I'm using right now to record this video, and again, it's Intel based for now. It works just fine. So that's the application usage for the storage usage for the applications. Not very high, but again, it does build up if you like to dabble. And I'm the kind of guy I like to sort of install a lot of stuff, tinker with it, and then I sometimes uninstall it. But because I have the headroom, I just leave them installed. And if I didn't have this headroom, I would have been constantly uninstalling and reinstalling stuff, and that's not much fun. The other big one is the developer. Now, in the developer tab, basically what this particular tool, because it's the Mac OS own native tool, it is showing me the developer usage from Xcode only, not from Android Studio. But for Xcode, you can see that the cache is pretty big at this point of time. I could probably get rid of these files. So it's 6 GB of cache. There are some project builds and indexes worth 5 GB, some archives. And then these are the files which are the image files for a particular simulator. So as you can see, each one of them is worth 5 GB here. Now I've got 2 of these on board, and these are for iOS versions 15 and 14. If you want to sort of support a lot of iOS versions and you like to have all of these files on your system at all times, this list will grow, and each image will cost you around 5 GB on your hard drive. So that gives you a little idea of the kind of usage you will have from this. Also, Android does the same thing, by the way. Again, this tool doesn't show it here, but for Android also, for each version of Android that you want to support, the simulator requires an image file, and those tend to add up very quickly as well, and they're fairly large files as well. So that's the developer tab. Photos is a very personal thing. I am not a very prolific photo taker, but still I've got about 12, 13 GB of photos already. You will know how many photos you intend to take or you tend to take, and so this can fill up very, very quickly for some people. Again, I don't do any music creation, but interestingly, I have 2.39. These are basically the sound samples for GarageBand. Again, I absolutely never use it, but they're there. Sometimes I tinker with it. Again, music creation, I don't use it that much. By the way, these bottom two, so the macOS itself is taking, and I can't click on them because it will not show me, because it doesn't want me messing around with the system. But the macOS itself is taking about 15 GB, and the system data is taking about 58 GB. So about 60 plus 15. This is the amount of space that is always going to be an overhead or a usage, whatever else you do. So when you start calculating how much of storage you require, just think about these two numbers. They will always be taken away from your total. So you'll never have these for your files. So keep that into account. Then the other big one is the documents. So in the way this list works is, in documents, it shows me basically everything, right? It shows me all the large files. So these are separated by the category, the applications, the storage bin, or rather the trash bin, I should say, and so on. But document shows me everything, and it shows me in various ways. So it shows me all the large files. So my Imovie library is pretty large. This is where some of my YouTube videos are in raw form. So that's about 8 GB right now, and I can just leave it alone. I have a lot of stuff in my downloads because I don't tend to delete them that often. Once in a while, I'll delete them. But if I go to File Browser, this gives me a folder by folder view. So, by the way, this is an excellent tool. I used to use a third-party tool to take care of my storage requirements and to clean up the hard drive. But this built-in tool is actually very good, and I discovered it recently, and I haven't used anything else since. So again, this is just a different view of the same things. You can see that the pictures are taking 15 GB here as a folder, although the photos themselves are 12.77. So there's the metadata, and the folder storage itself is 15 GB's worth. Download folder is quite big. Coding folder is pretty big. Now the coding folder, I would like to show you a little bit more, because if you look at the iOS apps, now they don't tend to take up a lot of space. They are mostly in megabytes, and even the large projects, they don't tend to be very, very big on the disk. Same goes for the Mac apps. They don't tend to take up a lot of space. But if you look at, for example, the Flutter projects, then each project is almost 500 megabyte, half a GB per project, roughly. And these are not very big projects. Some of them are bigger. So this one, for example, is bigger, and it's almost 1 GB. So they have a lot of files, and there's a lot of overhead files and builder files. And so these projects can really take up a lot of space. So if you plan to do Flutter application, for example, the same thing happens, by the way, if you do a lot of React files. So I have it here somewhere, or perhaps it's in a different, yeah, there we go, the React folder. So I'm actively working on this project right now. It's already worth about 500 megabyte, half a G, and because I've got it backed up a couple of times. I also have it on GitHub, but I like to back up locally as well. So this project itself is eating away about 1 GB worth. So if you have 5 or 6 projects running it simultaneously, they will add up pretty quickly. So if you're a developer, you'll have to sort of think about that a little bit. What else? Well, I don't use any containers. There are no unsupported apps, and so on. Finally, my trash can or the bin is taking about 25 GB. I don't like to sort of empty it very often. And again, this is one of the advantages of having a large hard drive. Otherwise, I'll always be juggling with it, and I might have some regret if I accidentally permanently delete some files that I needed to take, because sometimes, you do end up after a few days trying to recover some files. But because I have the space, I'm comfortable, and I just leave it alone. So that's just an overview of the kind of usage that I have for my storage. Where does it leave us? Well, more is always good. If you can afford it, 1 tera would be even better. But for me personally, I'm glad I did not go for the base 256. That would not have been enough. But 512 for my usage and the kind of storage requirements that I've shown is pretty ample, and I'm very comfortable running it right now. I hope this helps you to decide, your own purchase decisions in terms of how you want to use your Mac. And thank you for watching.